We have a great session ahead. It's basically around, since this entire theme of the town hall has been around ballot, BMC and the battle for Mumbai. We had the Chief Minister earlier today. We had Aditya Thackeray earlier today. And obviously politicians will say what they have to say. You know, they're in the business of trying to convince people to vote for them. But what is the reality of Mumbai? What is the reality of the richest municipal corporation in Asia, which has 70,000 crores budget? Are the people of Mumbai getting what they deserve from the richest municipal corporation in the continent? I want to start with Ashoke Pandit. Do you believe Mumbaikars are getting a fair deal? Because this whole thing is about the BMC election. It's going to happen in the next few months. Do you think this city, maximum city, financial capital, is getting what it deserves?
Thank you, Zaka, for making me a part of this great show of yours. See, I'm a very positive person and we work on the ground, all of us. There are two ways of looking at it. One is that there's a huge development work going on in this city, where we see coastal roads, we see metros, we see flyovers, we see Atal Bridge, everything, you know, huge development going on one side. And it's good for any city for that matter. And I literally believe in dynamism of our Chief Minister. I'm a personal fan of his work. Having said that, on one side we see, you know, all these developments happening, and we live in a ray of hope that the city will definitely be without any problems one day. But as a citizen of this city, a lot of things really pains us, because, you know, when we work on the ground, sometimes the system, the bureaucracy, working in BMC and system, they really tire you out, you know, when you take up issues and we try to solve those issues. And finally, sadly, we get remorse or we get solutions from the courts. We have to go to the courts. I'll give you examples why I'm saying this. See, we fight, what are the issues which really concern a common man? The biggest issue is, if you're talking about development, and in that development, if we don't have proper roads, if we don't have proper sanitations, if we don't have proper water, then that development is very, very make-up-oriented development. If there is a road in this city itself which goes from highway to airport, T2, which is a fantastic road, I can't understand why that particular road, that kind of road is not there in the city. You go to Thane, you go to Mira Road, you go to Dada, you go to anywhere where it's internally connected roads, it's tiring, it's really painful, and we feel very low when we travel on that. So that is a very big issue which is going to matter in these BMC elections. Second most important issue which we are fighting for are the open spaces. The land mafia in the city has taken over mangroves, they have taken over open spaces, they have taken over gardens, they have taken over beaches, they have taken over mountains, they have taken over rivers, they have taken over lakes, everything for that matter. And every day in and day out, we people are on the streets fighting that mafia and finally go to the court. There's an example. Bangurnagar is a very huge place in Goregaon West. The entire back road, back space, open space has been taken over by people, and illegal constructions, banquet halls, hotels, all those kind of things have been made. Now the system, that ward office, that BMC knows that this is wrong. We are fighting this battle from last 9 years, and we are not, finally we got an order from the court. Same is with Lokhandwala, same is with Jew, same is with, you know. So all these things, what really tires us is, and it's an appeal which we citizens would like to make on your platform, that there has to be a special, you know, wing, special consideration towards citizens making, you know, a kind of a thing. Okay. One more thing very important. I'm sorry.
Sure, please.
After Corona, we have not learned the lesson. Look at the BMC hospitals, the way hospitals are functioning. All the doctors, overtime, nurses, overtime, huge, I know population is there. But the system in municipal hospitals, the way patients are treated, the way things are happening, availability of medicines, it's not there. So basic human needs have to be fulfilled, which we are finding lot of trouble. Accountability is not there as far as bureaucracy is concerned. There is a Meठी river scam. This is a comedy of errors. As a filmmaker, I'll tell you. There was a bridge which got international fame called Gokhale Bridge, which is in Andheri. Two sides didn't match. So accountability of the BMC officers or all the architects, all the officers has to be there.
Yeah.
Somebody filed an RTI. It's a major scam where people suffered. It was thanks to our MLA there, Amit Sadam, that we came to know that bridge is going to fall. And the penalty which was given by the system to those officers was just 5,000 rupees.
Wow.
They should have been sacked. They should have been behind the bars. But there's no accountability. So no accountability is really making a lot of problems to common people, common citizens like us.
So one thing which Mr. Pandit said, which I think is true of Mumbai, and it's true across a lot of cities, and I want Priyam Gandhi Mody to weigh in on this. If you came to Mumbai 5 years ago or 10 years ago, for example, I keep visiting, for the last 25 years I've been visiting Mumbai. The last few times to go from the airport to Colaba, to do it in 30 minutes, it would have been unthinkable 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So hats off. Coastal Road or, Sea-Link, all of that. But at the same time, as he pointed out, the internal roads, and I have this statistic, and I was astounded when my research team provided us with this information. So just in this monsoon season, and obviously monsoon season is the worst for the roads because of the potholes and so on, just in the months of June and July, the number of complaints that have come to the BMC portal, BMC has opened a portal for potholes, is 7,083. 40% of the 7,000 complaints have come from just 3 wards. 3 wards across Mumbai city. How does one explain this contradiction? You have on the one side, fantastic Coastal Road and Sea-Link. On the other, you have, potholes, 7,000 complaints for potholes.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. And great question, potholes. That's we're all very sensitive about it. But let me rewind a bit. I do think that let us consider that Mumbai is India's financial capital. It is our commercial capital. It's where, it contributes to 8% of our GDP. You see the Methi River as a divider almost between the haves and the have-nots. You see, so it's a very complex city to understand. When we talk about the complaints of the potholes, let's also remember that there hasn't been an election, which means that there is no accountability on the ground. The ground level connect between people and corporators ward-wise is missing. The bureaucrats are simply not invested enough. Even if there are, there is a one-off bureaucrat who is interested, because of the different, there's MMRDA, MADA, BMC, because of all of these different organizations who think they have the piece of the pie, the accountability kind of gets spread and just basically shoved off from one's shoulder to the other. In my opinion, the central point to fix here would be to govern the city in a more centralized fashion. It should directly come under one authority who is willing to take all of the accountability and hold these other organizations to
like
task.
A city government.
It should. Yeah, and the mayor should be accountable. It shouldn't just be an exchange of corporators when political discussions happen. Itni seatein iski, tumko corporator banayenge, tumko. So that's not working.
But here's the thing. At least with corporators, I know the BMC election has not happened. It's been due for a few years now. At least with elected officials, there is a degree of accountability once in 5 years. That's how, democracy functions. The problem here is also officials who are unelected. And many times they are the ones who are responsible. He was talking about BMC officials, officials in these various agencies. How do those people get held accountable? Other than, of course, through courts. Courts, that's a, long-term resort. Courts take their time. But there has to be fundamental accountability of bureaucrats.
So Mumbai being such a big contributor to Maharashtra as well as the country, I think here we have a very decisive chief minister. We have a very decisive government that sees Mumbai as a, inseparable part of India's Viksit Bharat journey. And to take it to that scale, I feel that if this is administered and, happens under the watch of a chief minister like Mr. Fadnavis, you've seen the speed and scale of his work, I think that a lot of these problems can be fixed.
The other issue which we don't talk about because it's not very glamorous to talk about it on television, but I think it's a serious issue whether in Mumbai or any other city, is garbage. Open dumping of garbage. I believe last month, the minister in charge for this, Uday Samant, he said, a comprehensive solid waste management policy is going to be implemented to address the serious issue of waste management. The CAG, I believe, had expressed grave concern that 40% of the state's garbage or the waste that's going is largely going unprocessed or untreated. This is an extraordinary situation. I mean, it leads to disease, it leads to even issues like stray dogs, which has become a huge talking point in Delhi, and I'm sure it is here in Mumbai as well. How can garbage be left untreated in open fields, on the sides of roads?
I think, first of all, thanks for having me, but I'll give you a more poetic version of Mumbai since I'm an author. I'll just step back a bit and say, for me, Mumbai is like a mother. एक माँ जो शायद आपको गोद ना ले, पर वो आपको कभी भूखा नहीं सोने देगी. You may not make sona here, chandi here, or even paisa here, but this city, when you're losing, जब आप हार गए हो, this city will catch you कि जिंदगी कैसे जीते हैं. And I think that is what the spirit of Mumbai has always been about, that survival. And I want at the end of this discussion that Mumbai, it should not have such a low benchmark. Survival is not the end game. Thriving is the end game. And I think now that we're talking about 2047 India, we have 100 years of celebration of our great nation. And Mumbai is, as you mentioned, the financial capital. And I think we have not 20 years, 2 decades plus, to ensure that our city, our beautiful city, with all its flaws and all its, measures that we have to take to make it greater than it already is, I think let's not focus on surviving the city, but thriving in it. And in terms of infrastructure, of course, we have so many issues, even women's safety, even, funding for artists, for example. You had mentioned roads earlier. The largest civic project that had been undertaken by the government for, I think, $700 million for road infrastructure. You compare it to, say, a place like, say, Beijing. Just alone there, it's 100 times more, the investment in infrastructure. So, of course, you're hearing of a crumbling infrastructure, even though there have been such massive developments. The trains are overcrowded. Every day, hearing of fatalities there. And we have so many steps that we have to take forward. But I would honestly focus a lot on this sort of collective vigilance also that Mumbaikars have, say with regards to women's safety. Now, I'm not a native Mumbaikar. I'm a Pahadi, Meghna Pant. My dad's from Nainital, my mom's from Shimla. I was born there, and I actually grew up in Delhi and then moved to Mumbai because my parents had a government job. But the way the city has embraced me, the way it has not let me fall at any point in my life, the way it has not just embraced but celebrated it. So in this city, you need talent, you need a lot of grit, but it will give you what you want. So I think if we focus all our, we have BMC funding for infrastructure, we have the MMRDA, the MTPU and all of that, but we need to give it some time to develop. We're seeing massive developments. I've never seen my city like this in the last 30 years that I've lived here, but yet there are steps to be taken forward. But let's also talk about women's safety in all of this, as well as funding for artists, because,
Women's safety, I mean, Mumbai was considered, at least at one point of time, the safest city for women. I mean, women could take the local
again, we should not...
at 1 a.m. and so on.
Of course, and I've grown up, by the way, driving at 4 a.m. I don't know about you, Priyam, but never felt unsafe. But we are also, I think, now in a bubble world where we're privileged enough to have private transportation. But ask the common woman out there, when I was taking trains and buses when I was in college, there's a lot of eve teasing, there's a lot of molestation, but one thing that sets us apart from other cities is this collective sense of vigilance that Mumbaikars have. Men and women will gather together. I don't know how many of you have had that experience, that if somebody's eve teasing you, other people around will come and, say, almost protect you. And that's something I've seen only in Mumbai. So I think that needs to be further done with our last mile connectivity, for example. Okay. There should be increased patrol, especially female, cops around. Even, I don't know how many of you all use the Western Railways, the Central Railways, and you feel like they're not 100% lady coaches, are there? No, right? So I think we need all of those measures to take it forward and make women's safety a priority.
I want to sort of extend this point about the trains. I mean, for the longest time, the trains was the sort of lifeline of Mumbai. And obviously the city's grown manifold in the last 20, 30 years. And now the metro has come. But has the metro sort of adequately addressed this burgeoning traffic, this burgeoning sort of explosion of population and the need for people to travel from home to work, from work back home? Last mile connectivity that Meghna talked about. Is it best buses? This is the statistic on best buses. 10 years ago in the greater Mumbai region, there were more than almost 5,000 buses. That has now come down to just about 500. That is a massive reduction of last mile connectivity.
See, Zaka, as far as the biggest issue of this city, and even then, the way she said that things are moving ahead, there's a lot of population which keeps on coming into the city every day. I don't think there is any other city in the country which has so much of influx of population from various parts of the country, because it's a financial country and it has a lot of attraction as far as the city is concerned. Today, you make a line of a metro from one place to another place. So by the time that metro is complete, there are 1 lakh cars which have increased. So the pace at which the growth is happening and the pace at which the population is increasing and the work is increasing is not, matching at the right perspective. And that's very difficult to happen also. But seriously, when one sees the condition of people, the way people, all of us, travel in local trains, there has to be serious thought which should go, which is with the center, not at the state and center both. There has to be ways and means found to see to it that every common man who is moving from one place to another, whether in the bus, whether in his private vehicle, whether in the train, whether in any public transport, has to be safe and very, very comfortable. Coastal road, cars are moving, vehicles are moving, and exactly opposite that, when I'm seeing women, men falling down from the local trains, you feel that there's something wrong somewhere in the system. So it has to be parallel with every form of travel. Everybody cannot afford metro. Yeah. So they go by local trains. So for me, that person moving around in the local train is as important as that person moving on Atal Setu Bridge or at by any of the...
In fact, the number of fatal accidents that have happened because of overcrowding, falling off trains in 2024 has been more than 5,000. More than 5,000 people have died because of overcrowded trains, and they just couldn't hang on, and they fell and they died.
When you see visuals, when you enter a train, you are there, so you're not realizing. When you see visuals from top and from drone and all that, the kind of people on the platform, how do women are half outside the train?
So what is the solution? Should you start covering the trains? I mean, the metro is covered, for example.
There are AC trains now. It's not a question of covering. What I'm trying to speed, there has to be some system at the top level which should be thought correctly. Some stalwarts should sit and work out a system where, this inhuman...
Is the system of open local trains, as much as a lifeline they are, very few other cities in India or around the world have open local trains where people crowd like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that certainly needs to be addressed. We need to, somehow find a way to close the open trains. But here I also want to add that there is a capacity and a certain amount of vertical growth that a city can do. Now, from a top leadership level, I think that there is some decision that you cannot look at Mumbai anymore in isolation. You have to look at it integrated with New Mumbai, where the new airport is coming up. You have to integrate it with Mumbai 3 that the Chief Minister is now building that will take you to the port. So I feel that better integration of MMR and the new expanding city infrastructure will take the load of some of these public transport facilities as offices, headquarters, etc. will start to diversify even in the MMR region. So
one of the things I think recently was suggested by the state government was having staggered office timings. Some offices open at 7 a.m., some offices open at 8, some offices open at 9. You think that would
I think with the Navi Mumbai airport and the way they're building the new Mumbai around that, I feel a lot of the corporate headquarters and offices will shift there, and that will take care of some sort of an exodus of the working population that is coming from MMR towards the city every day, and that will send them more towards the new Mumbai side. So I definitely think this will reduce the load on the transport infrastructure of the city for sure.
But, on the question of private cars, and we've had this debate in Delhi, they tried, odd even to tackle the pollution. Every major city around the world, New York, London, Singapore, there is some form of regulation of movement of private cars, particularly in city centers, either high parking rates or there is, license plates are very expensive to get. It's only in Indian cities where the number of vehicles that are added to the road on every single day, it's huge. And, frankly, I'm not blaming private car owners. It's because of the state of public transport that they're having to buy private cars. Today, if you ask the people in this room, if you have a choice between driving your own car and taking public transport, 9 out of 10 will say we will drive our own private car. So how does one regulate that?
That's a very good point. And I'll say something. I love Mumbai, but I miss walking on the roads. Like, I've lived abroad for 10 years and came back, and that was the one feature I really missed. You have to have private cars if you want to survive, be alive in the city. That's how precarious things are. And the AQI levels, our PM levels are way, way more than what the even WHO guidelines are, despite the fact that we have the Arabian Sea, right? So it is something we have to look at. Our green spaces also. Mumbai has around 25% green spaces, but this is just vegetation. There aren't actual green sort of, public parks or access to that. Like Delhi has so much of that. So there is a lot of movement we'll have to even do with accessibility to public transport, affordability. We need 1:3 native replanting of, say, the RA colony, the mangroves that, sir, you had mentioned. There's so much work still to be done. Like in our part of town, like in South Bombay, there's only Mahalakshmi race course, There's no other green lung of the city, which I've not seen in any other city I've lived in. So I think these are small points that once we have greener spaces, once we have more public transport, this issue of private vehicles, like I see now every household that I know have at least 2 to 3 private vehicles. It's become like a status symbol that see how affluent I've become. I came from a middle class background, but now see how far I've come. So that mentality has to shift.
Is a solution to it? Is encouraging electric vehicles?
It's more electric, but I think it's still not seeped into the sort of masses, but it is slowly coming about.
One other thing which we don't talk about, Ashokji, is pollution. And, in Mumbai, it's almost like silent killer because it's not visible, unlike in Delhi where you can visibly tell how bad the AQI is. But apparently in 2024, more than half the year, more than 150 days, the AQI was above 150. This is a silent killer, and you wouldn't expect this in a city like Mumbai. 20 years ago, nobody talked about pollution in Mumbai. What do you think that is because of, and why aren't there enough conversations around this in the city?
See, priority-wise, there's so much of struggle and so much of
survival, as she said.
That this has taken a back, little bit behind. But that is a problem. As I told you earlier, the pollution is going on upper level, which never used to be in Mumbai. There are major reasons is, as I told you earlier, transport, vehicles, it's all there. But one of the major reasons why I'm telling you is that we have been working day in and day out, all of us, that the way environment is being killed and murdered in this city. It's the way you see what's happening in Uttarakhand, you know. There is no respect towards environment. In the name of development, development has to happen. But there has to be some limit somewhere. There has to be some thought which has to go in to see to it that this is more also very important for our life, you know. You'll not believe, Zaka, I know if I go on, it will take the entire night. On what level are we struggling to save environment of all kinds? And the way, you know, the way grounds have been taken over, the way documents have been changed overnight, the way open space where there were 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 trees, overnight they have been cut and we don't know what's happening and why it's happening. Then the reason is giving, भाई ये सब जगह होता है, development है. Development मतलब ये नहीं कि आप delete undevelopment करो इन चीजों काट कर. So if proper balance is struck, development and survival of environment, survival of birds, survival of trees, survival of water, lakes, entire Goregaon East, the entire mountains have gone in the name of development. Entire Andheri East, builders have taken over, entire mountains have gone. So suddenly we are all, you know, on the plain grounds, and the nature which helps you in with free of cost, which gives you air free of cost, the way it really takes care of you, you are killing it. So it has to come back to you. You know, it gives back to you.
I think recently here in Parel only there was a high-rise society. All the residents came together and said BMC should stop, you know, giving permissions for more high-rises in the area because there isn't enough, you know, water and sewage collection properly and so on and so forth.
Yes.
I guess, you know, if corporators are not attuned to it, if bureaucrats are not attuned to it, then we'll be living in this urban sprawling jungle which is not able to sustain life.
See, I also feel that we are, you know, that there are many examples of large cities like Mumbai around the world that do deal with these challenges. There's a New York, there's a Shanghai, there's a Dubai. You know, there are lots of examples where we can draw from. A lot of, like a big contributor to the problem of pollution is, you know, all of these simultaneous development projects. But we must find inspiration from some of these other cities and how they've addressed and how they control pollution with simultaneous development. Here I want to add one more point, that we can sit here and all of us one by one can complain about the city all night. But when it comes to going to the poll and to the polls and actually voting, now look at the issues that the politicians raise in the media. Language. Now I've lived in this city since I was born. We've been taught Marathi in school. It's a non-issue. We all know how to speak and understand and read Marathi. But why is this gaining such media popularity when the real issues are pollution, transport, citizen safety? You know, so I feel like the citizens need to hold even politicians accountable that, hey, can you please raise the actual issues in the conversation and stop distracting us to non-issues like language. We can all speak and understand Marathi, and, you know, that's like kind of the rule in our
I think
school.
they're using emotive issues to paper over the real
absolutely.
deficiencies.
Even Bombay versus Mumbai. I got the
Like they
on
use
live TV
issues
once.
which will get their street carders moving, you know, and these carders get so agitated that then they delve into like physical violence, kisi ko chata maar diya, and you know, those kinds of things. But these are not the real issues. The real issues are ease of life 24/7 for all of us citizens, and that's what we have to hold the political parties accountable.
But even the voters, I mean, the last assembly election which happened last year, in Mumbai city, the voter turnout was just about 50%, which means that half of the city either went off on the long weekend, they didn't bother to show up to vote, or were not interested in the democratic process, or maybe they didn't have, you know, the requisite voter ID card or whatever it is. But the point is, you can't have a situation where half the city is not voting. I mean, so what about the responsibility of the average citizen also? Politicians will do what they do.
I absolutely agree. I think the political conscience of our city is unfortunately lacking. That's been my experience also. I think यहाँ पे सिर्फ धंधा चलता है. It's all about the Bombay Stock Exchange. It's all about the business you run. Unfortunately, that's just, again, the collective mentality of people. They'll talk about Bollywood and BSc, but they will not talk about, politics or politicians or how we can better improve our city. So I think the vocabulary of the city also has to change. It has to further develop. And I think we as citizens should also raise awareness about that. And you as journalists and media houses, raise the political, like when I come to Delhi, there's so much talk of politics and culture. When I come back to Mumbai, there's talk only of, how to make more money, how to improve your lifestyle. So I think we're in survival mode in a lot of ways, and therefore culture and politics have taken a back seat.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Meghna Pant, Priyam Gandhi Mody, and of course Ashoke Pandit for joining us. Can we have a round of applause?
Thank you.
For three passionate and three vocal Mumbaikars who I think touched upon a range of issues. Hopefully these are the issues that the politicians will talk about when they come asking for your vote. So make sure you hold them accountable. Thank you for tuning in to this special session.